This is Mrs. Appia with Lesson 11 from Module 4, Tax, Commission, Fees, and Other Real-World Percent Problems. Student outcomes for this lesson. Students solve real-world percent problems involving tax, gratuities, commissions, and fees. And we will review concepts taught so far in Module 4. This lesson is a bit different from the previous lessons in that we will be taking notes on your fill-in-the-blank notes today instead of in your textbook. The essential question is, how are tax, commission, and shipping related? Terms to know before we get started. Some sales jobs pay you a commission. A commission is a percent of the amount of your sales. Fred works for a car dealership. He earns 4% commission on each car he sells. Find the commission on an $8,000 sale with a commission rate of 4%. With most percent problems, we'll be starting out with the common formula of quantity equals percent times whole. The quantity represents the commission. The commission rate is 4%, and the amount of the sale is the whole. So we have the percent is the commission rate, and the whole is the amount of sale. So our amount of sale is $8,000, so that is the whole. The commission rate of 4% is our percent, and the commission is the quantity that we are looking for. So we'll use C for commission. The commission rate of 4% as a decimal is 0.04. And we're going to multiply that by the amount of sales, which was 8,000. So go ahead and use your calculator and calculate the amount, and you should get 320. So this means that the salesperson will earn $320 for selling an $8,000 car. Next, a car rental is $40 per day. The tax rate is 18%. How much did the family pay in taxes if they rented the car for 8 days? So your tax is a percent of the rental fee. Our quantity is going to give us the tax because it is the percent times the whole. The percent is the tax rate, and the whole is the cost of the rental. So our taxes are what we are looking for. We'll use T for taxes. The tax rate is 18%. Convert that to a decimal by dividing by 100 or moving your decimal 2 places. And we multiply that by the cost of the rental. The cost of the rental is $40. Now this car was rented for 8 days, so you need to pay 4% or 18% of $40 per day. So we will multiply that by 8. And that's 8 days. So go ahead and pull out your calculator, calculate your answer, and you should get 57.6. So what that means is the family paid $57.60 in taxes over the 8-day rental. And that's only the taxes. That's not the cost of the rental itself. For the next question, Jeff bought a Eureka Handyvac for $32. He had to pay 7% in shipping fees, so he probably bought it from a website or Amazon. And the shipping fee is a percent of the sales. How much did the shipping cost? So the shipping is a part of the whole. So our quantity is going to be our shipping cost. And our percent is the shipping rate, which is 7%. And our whole is the cost of the item. So our shipping cost is what we're looking for. So we'll use a variable. Our shipping rate is 7%, which is 0.07, and the cost of the item was $32. So go ahead and calculate your answer, and you should get 2.24. What this means is that Jeff paid $2.24 in shipping fees. He is not a member of Amazon Prime. What I want you to notice on this page is that we talked about earning a commission on a sale, such as a car salesman, a furniture salesman, a realtor who sells homes. And then we talked about taxes and then shipping fee. And all of these, tax, commission, and shipping, are related by the common equation used to solve problems, which is our percent formula of quantity equals percent times whole. And that can be solved. That formula can be used to solve many percent problems. So what we're going to do next is just a general review of what we learned so far in Module 4. For general percent problems, you've got your formula. The part equals the percent times the whole. And the part is the quantity. And keywords that you can look for to help you figure out which number is the quantity is the word is. Then the percent, remember to write that as a decimal. The whole, that's what you are comparing it to. And a key word for that is the word of. Now that doesn't always work, but it often does. How do you find the markup price using the markup rate? Vinny's Video Store buys the latest video games at a wholesale price of $30. The markup rate at the store is 60%. How much will a customer pay for the game, not including tax? So the difference between markup rate and markup. The markup rate is a percent of the original cost. The markup is the amount of money it's increased by. So we start out with our quantity equals percent times whole formula. And our selling price is going to be the quantity. And the percent, now if it's going to be marked up 60%, that means you have to mark it up from 100%. So the percent is 100% plus 60%. So you want to remember to add that to 100 for a markup. Then the whole is the wholesale price. So our selling price is what we're looking for. The percent will be 160%, and the wholesale price was $30. That's how much the company paid for it. Now they want to mark it up and sell it for a profit. So we're going to convert 160 to a decimal by dividing by 100. So that's going to move your decimal 2 places. So we have 1.6 times 30. Go ahead and calculate that answer to get the selling price. And you should have 48. What that means is that a customer will pay $48 for that game. Next, how do you find a markup given the wholesale price and the percent markup? You work at a local bookstore and are remarking the price on books to increase your profit. Your boss says to mark up a book 20% that originally sells for $5. How much is the markup? So the quantity is going to be the amount of markup. The percent is the 20% markup. And the whole is the original cost, or the wholesale cost. So the amount of markup is what we're looking for. So we use a variable. The percent in this case does not get added to 100 because we are only looking for the markup, not the selling price. So the markup is 20%. And then the original cost was $5. So we're going to multiply by 5. So convert your percent to a decimal and multiply by 5. So the answer you should get is 1. And what that means is that the markup is $1. So the difference, again, between markup rate and markup. A markup rate is a percent. A markup is a dollar amount. Next, hey, it's double discount day. How do you apply multiple discounts to find the new cost? A $700 phone is discounted by 40% and then discounted an additional 25%. So we're going to go ahead and start with our percent formula. Quantity equals percent times whole. And the quantity is going to represent the selling price. The percent is a double discount percent. So you're going to actually have two for this section. So since this is being discounted, that means that you have to subtract it from 100. So for our first discount, and remember that one's going to be 1 minus M1 and M1 minus eb sum 1, that is going to be the first discount. Then you multiply that. Oops, I lost my page. Hold on a second here. All right, I've got my page back. So that's the first discount. Then the second discount is 1 minus M sub 2. Then you multiply that by the whole. And the whole, in this case, is the original amount. So our selling price is the unknown, so I'm going to use S for a variable. And I prefer to use 100% minus 40% rather than 1 minus 0.4. I just make fewer mistakes that way. So as long as you're consistent, I'm going to use 100% minus 40%. I'll change it to a decimal later. And then 100% minus 25%. Multiplied by the original cost, which was $700. So our selling price is 60% times 75% times 700. Our decimal for 60% is 0.6. Our decimal for 75% is 0.75. And the original cost of the phone is $700. So the 0.6 represents the 40% off. The 0.6 is what you're going to pay when that 40% is reduced. The 75% represent the amount of phone you're going to pay after the 25% discount. Then you multiply all of that together to get your final answer or your final selling price. So go ahead and calculate that, and you should get 315. What that means is that the selling price is $315, down from $700. That's a really good sale. Next, working backwards. What percent of the original price is the sale price? So remember that is associated with the quantity, and of corresponds to the whole. So what percent of the original is the sale price? So you can use these to help figure out what is the quantity, what is the percent, and what is the whole. You're going to substitute the original price, which is the whole, and the sale price, which is the quantity, in the equation, and then solve for P. So the computer that normally sells for $480, that is the original amount. That is our whole. Then the percent is what we're looking for. So I like to use C for a variable for percent. And then is on sale for $360. So is the sale price, that's our quantity. So now just go ahead and solve the equation. Divide by 480. So what you're doing here is you're taking the sale price and dividing it by the original cost. And that's going to give you 0.75. As a percent, remember to multiply that by 100, or you could move your decimal 2 places. And the answer is 75%. What that means is the sale price is 75% of the original price. So this person has saved 25%. Next, how do I find percent of markup, also called the percent change or the percent increase? I paid $120 for a bike on Craigslist, then marked it up and sold it for $180. What percent markup did I use? So we're looking for a percent here, not a dollar amount. In this case, the quantity is found by subtracting the original amount from the new amount. So your quantity, which is your increase, is the new amount minus the original amount. And the reason that you need to subtract that is because you are looking for the markup, which is a change or a difference. Then the whole is the original amount. So our new amount, let's see, we have $120 that it was before and the $180 that it is now. So the new amount is $180. The original amount is $120. So the difference is $60. So our quantity is 60. Our percent is what we're looking for. And the whole is the original amount. And that's what it used to be before you marked it up. So that's 120. Solve your equation, divide by 120 on both sides of the equation. So C is equal to 0.5. And if you convert that to a percent by multiplying by 100 or move your decimal, the answer is 50%. What that means is $60 is a 50% markup rate. So the question was asking, how do you find the percent of markup? If you want the markup, you just subtract 120 from 80, but we want the percent markup. So you figure out what the markup is, and then you figure out what percent is that out of the whole. Next, find the selling price for an item that is on sale, including tax. So jeans that are originally $78 originally on sale for 40% off, and the tax rate is 10%. So often, students will figure this problem out in several steps when it can be done in just one step. The quantity is going to be the selling price. The percent, there are actually going to be two percents here, one for the discount, which will be subtracted from 100, and one for the tax rate, which is added to 100. So I'm going to do those in green so you can see those. The first one will be the discount. So we have 100% when it's not on sale, minus 40% because it's on sale. So you end up paying 60% for that item. Then the whole amount of the jeans was $78. Okay, so the whole is $78. And that's the original amount or the cost of the product. Let's put cost of the product for that one. And so that's going to give us the cost of the item when it's on sale. You also have to pay tax on it. So the last part will be the tax. And remember that tax is added. So we have 100% for the cost of the product, and we need to add to that the tax rate of 10%. All right, so that's going to give us 110%. Now, those are both percents, the 60 and the 110. So what we want to do is we want to convert those to decimals. So 60% is 0.6, and that is the cost of the item, or that, I should say, that's the percent of the cost of the item that you are going to pay. 78 is the cost of the item, and then the decimal for 110% would be 1.1. So go ahead and calculate that answer. And you should get 51.48. What that means is the selling price, including tax, is $51.48. So I hope you're using pencil. You should always know when I'm teaching, you should be using pencil. I want to go back to this section over here, and well, maybe not. I just want to make sure you understand where that is coming from. So this part right here, the 100% minus the 40%, that is 100% minus the discount rate. And then the cost of the product. And then this section with the 100% and the 10%, that is 100% plus the tax rate. All right, continuing. And I believe this is our last question. Given the percent saved and the sale price, find the original price. I paid $12 when I bought a sweater on sale for 25% off. What was the original price? The formula quantity equals percent times whole. So the quantity represents the sale price, the percent is the percent paid, and the whole is the original cost. So you want to be careful on this one and not use 25% for the percent. So let's go ahead and solve the problem. The sale price is given to you, $12. The percent paid is, I'm going to go back here and write this out in words first. Our percent paid is going to be 100%. And then think, should it be added to 100% or subtracted from 100%? Since it was 25% off, we would subtract it. So 100% minus 25%, and that's going to be the percent that you had to pay. Then you multiply that by the original price, which is unknown. All right, continuing, we've got our sale price, which is what we are looking for. Actually, that's not what we're looking for. We know that. The sale price is 12. Then 100% minus 25% is 75%. 75% as a decimal is 0.75. Then the original price of the sweater is unknown. So I'm going to use a variable for that, and I'll just use W for whole. Now solve your equation. Divide by 0.75 on both sides of the equation. Go ahead and use your calculator and find your answer. And you should have gotten 16. What that means is the original sweater was 100% and it was marked down 25%. So you had to pay 75% of the value. When you paid 75% of the value, the answer was $12. Then you solve it by dividing. So the $16 is the original cost of the sweater. The original cost was $16. In this lesson, you have learned tax, commission, and shipping are related by the common equation used to solve problems, which is quantity equals percent times whole. Most percent problems can be solved using the common equation.